Hey, what's going on, everybody? I just want to let you know that I have a way too early 2022 NFL mock draft that's out right now. You can go find a link for that in the description to this video. I want to talk about, very briefly, in 2 or 3 minutes, same as all the other videos I've done recently, the top 5 prospects in this upcoming class. Now, obviously, we have the quarterback Sam Howell from North Carolina. He's had 2 really solid seasons, although he didn't necessarily make the jump this past year we expected. Of course, I think we can all say that the last year wasn't really normal because of COVID-19 and everything that happened. With some games being postponed and pushed back and all kind of stuff. So it's very hard to evaluate how much that lack of growth is on the players sometimes and how much of it is just on the surrounding issues. But Sam Howell is certainly one. Of course, Spencer Rattler's right there with him as well. And if we're talking about a quarterback being taken first overall next year, it's probably going to be one of those 2 guys. Rattler, of course, this past year for Oklahoma, his first year as a full-time starter, had a good year, showed a lot of promise. I think that we're still projecting him growing more as a player than necessarily Sam Howell. And Howell, by the way, who lost top 2 wide receivers and top 2 running backs from this past year in the NFL draft. So he's going to have to work with some new personnel and see how that goes. Meanwhile, Rattler, of course, is in a program that has produced Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts the past couple of years. So you have to like his projections there. Kayvon Thibodeaux, defensive end, Oregon. This is a guy who is probably the best defensive end prospect. Well, it's going to be the best defensive end prospect since Chase Young. You could probably put him in the same class as the guys like Nick Bosa, maybe Jadeveon Clowney, I don't really know. Depending on what team picks first next year, there's a chance you could go first overall. I'll say that right now. There is a real chance. His freshman year at Oregon, he had 9 sacks, 14 tackles for loss. This past year, 3 sacks, 9.5 tackles for loss in 7 games. So maybe not as productive necessarily, but again, very weird schedule with COVID-19, so you have to kind of leave room for that. Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU, that's another guy I think you have to really look at for maybe a top spot this coming year, top 5 pick next year. He might be the best defensive back since Jalen Ramsey. And I believe he had 6 interceptions as a freshman. Did not have anywhere near that production this past season, but again, schedule's all messed up. LSU, the pieces around him were much weaker this past year because so many players had gone to the NFL draft from that previous year, from that Joe Burrow year. So we'll see if his draft stock kind of rebounds a little bit with a good year this year, or if he kind of just continues to fall off a little bit. He'll still be a first-round pick in my mind no matter what happens, but he might not be that top 5 caliber pick, top 6 pick, if he doesn't get some elite production back this year. And the last guy I'll look at is DeMarvin Leal from Texas A&M. He's playing defensive end right now, but he's 6'4", 290 pounds, could kick inside the defensive tackle in the NFL. So positional versatility, the production is not there on the same scale as the players I've talked about recently in the past 4, but 7 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks this past year. There's certainly something to build around there, and you have to like his build and maybe the positional versatility he can bring to the NFL. So those are, right now, early top 5 prospects for me going up to the 2022 NFL draft, which is almost a year away.